Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed your last classes, which we have discussed many important issues. We have discussed international political systems. We have discussed economic integration. We have discussed privatization and some countries that they have followed privatization. And we have also discussed the economic integration levels, different 5 levels of economic integration. We have discussed until now different multinational NGOs, organizations, globalization, international business, and all these important topics. So I hope you have learned something and you have researched regarding those topics. Economic integration is also important topic. As I have said on the induction day of this subject, that international business is one of the most important subject in your BBA. In latest system, you know that because of technology, because of businesses around the world, international business is very important subject. So that's why you need to be updated. So every day you learn a new thing regarding the business, regarding the issues around the world. So it's on updated system, it's updated subject. So you need to be very updated. You need to follow the news, business news every day, what's happening around the world, what's happening into different industries, what's happening to different countries, what are their new laws for the business, which system they are following, is it successful, not successful. So what's happening in the Asian countries, what they are doing for their international business, what's the rate of their foreign direct investment. So these are all issues which you need to be updated on day-to-day basis, on daily basis. You need to follow business news. If you don't follow it, you don't know what's happening around the globe. So this subject is a subject which you need to follow it on day-to-day basis. What's happening today in the business, what happened to the business in Europe, in Middle East, what's happening in Asia, what's happening to our neighbor countries, how is their foreign direct investment, their export, their import, their GDP, why it's you have discussed these things in economics, I think. So these are all issues which you need to be very careful about, in which you need to be which you need to think about it. So that's next topic in international business, which is very important, is culture. We all know what it is, culture. So how culture affects international business, what are the issues which you need to, areas which you need to be careful while you are doing business in another country. Now we know that many organizations, that they are having employees from different cultures, from different backgrounds, different religions, different languages, different countries, different continents, different parts, different behaviors. So it's all affect the business. So if a company, let's say for example Alakoze is operating in Afghanistan and also in 35 other countries, so how they will manage all these cultural issues in all these countries? So they must have knowledge regarding their cultural issues. They must know what are their norms, what are the values, what people follow, language of speaking, body language, the way people behave, their political system, their economical system, their social behavior. There are many other elements of a culture which we will discuss later on, needs to take into consideration. So we need to follow all these issues. So we need to be very careful regarding these issues. A company might fail because of not considering culture issues, and we will discuss some real examples that one thing, one words, one brand name might be different in other countries. The gap between two people standing, you need to follow certain gaps when you are shaking hands. In some countries, shaking hands with the male and females, they don't care, but certain countries they are very restricted. They don't shake hands with male and female. In some countries, shaking hands like with left hands, they really take it serious. They don't like to shake hands as a left hand. Some countries they don't care. They can shake hands with, you can shake hands with your left hand or right hand. But in some countries they think about these issues, cultural issues as well. Language, we have written, spoken language and non-spoken language, which is a body language. Body language can be a different as well. So some people might take it serious, some people might not like certain issues. Like there are many different aspects of culture which we will discuss in latest slides. So let's see the read the slides which we have discussed now. In globalized economy, culture sensitivity is essential. As more companies grow and the global marketplace become more accessible for small businesses, multinational and cross-cultural teams are becoming more common. So that's what we have discussed. This means that it is crucial now more than ever for business to understand the culture of their foreign market if they wish to succeed internationally. Yes, so if you want to succeed in international market, if you want to be successful, if you want to have a successful business, long-term business, you must consider their culture issue. You must understand what are their culture issues. So you must know what's happening to the culture issues. So these are all different aspects of culture. So that's what we talk about, we have talked about. Now let's see next one, culture. Culture is a system of values and norms that are shared among group of people that when taken together constitute a design for living. So it's a constitutions of living. That's a culture, values and norms. Norms, what people normally follows, you know. Values, what they give preference to it, they respect it. So that's all about values and norms. So that's a culture. So everything we know, some societies are more cultural society. They call it is a historical and cultural society. They are stick to their culture. They follow their culture, they respect their culture. In some countries they might not, or whatever. So that's the issue of culture. So that's the definition. Now let's see, by value we mean abstract ideas about what a group believes to be good and right and desirable. Put differently, values are shared assumptions about how things ought to be. By norms we mean the social rules and guidelines that prescribe appropriate behavior in particular situation. So it's what's right, what's wrong. Something might be right in Afghanistan, that might be wrong in European countries. Some behavior in Afghanistan, in our country, might be very simple, we don't take it serious, but in other countries they might take it very, very seriously. Like let's say holding hands. Male is holding hand. Let's say in Afghanistan we see the two boys are holding their hands walking as a friend. But if you do the same thing in Europe, they don't like that. They think you are something else. So you know what we mean. So that's the issue. So there are certain issues that it's normal for them, but for others it's not normal. سو یعنی بعضی چیزا هستن که کشورهای بعضی کشورها مثلا حتی که شما چقدر باید دور استاد شوین از یک دیگه وقت دست میتین او را در نظر میگیرن، چقدر آوازتان باید بلند باشه. بعضی کشورها در بخش لنگویج خود خواندیم که بسیار تیز صحبت میکنن، در مثلا قار میشن. بسیار کشورها هستن که بسیار نرم صحبت، حتی اگر قارم باشن احساس نمیکنین که یا قار هستن. فرهنگشان هم قسم است. مثلا اگر یک بچه دست یک بچه را گفته، مثلا ما براتون مثال بزنم. ما که هندوستان رفتیم اوجا وقت بچه های افغان یکی دیگر رو میدیدن، امرا یکی دیگر مثلا بغل کشی میکردن یا سلام علیکی میکردن. ایندیا بسیار از این بد میبردن، یک قسم چیز میشدن چطور که یک پسر امرا یک پسر دیگه بغل کشی میکنن، یکی دیگر رو در بغل میگیرن. بازوا نمیفهمیدن که یک فرهنگ زیاستن. باز برشان میگفتیم که اینطور است، اینی فرهنگ ماست، از محبت زیاد ما این کارا میکنیم که دوست مثلا برادر ماست و هموطن ماست. یعنی بسیار چیزا هستن. یمنیا مثلا در رویشان اگر یک بچه بشینه و در رویشان دست بزنین از مذاق هم بسیار زیاد بد میبرن، بسیار زیاد. حتی میگه در یمن دوست یمنی ما بود، میگه حتی میکشن اگه یک یمنی کار کنه، یا در پشت سرشان مثلا ایتو کتسیلی بزنین، استای تو تله کنین، از او بسیار زیاد بد میبرن. یعنی بسیار چیزایی هستن که در یک کشور عادی است و در کشورهای دیگه از او مثلا بد میبرن، یا مثلا در این کشور در او کشورها بد میبرن، در کشور دیگه یک گپ بسیار عادی است. So that's cultural issues. Let's take the determinants of elements of culture. What we have is religion. That's very important. We have political philosophy, we have economic philosophy, we have education, we have language, we have social culture, in all these issues. So let's discuss every elements of culture. First one I think is religion. So we all know that many people follow different religions, Christianity, Islam, whatever, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever religion people are following. So you must consider the religious issues of a country. For example, if you are if you want to start, you have a family business in Kabul, family restaurant, and you want to have open another family restaurant in India, which is majority Hindu population around. So what do you do? Can you sell beef? No. Can you have any type of menu which are beef, like beef biryani, beef palau, whatever, beef mantu, which is beef? You cannot sell all these products because of cultural issue. People don't like it. So if a business, let's say wine, they are selling wine and pork and haram meat into a Islamic society, it's a cultural issue. They cannot get the license in when they are following it. So these are all religious matters. Let's say a Muslim working with a non-Muslim, they must allow him to pray. That's the issue. If a company from Europe operating in Islamic countries, they need to give time for their employees which are Muslims. They need to give them a time for praying. So that's the religious issue. They cannot say that you are not allowed to pray in our company. That's against the rules and regulation of business, international business, and rules and regulation of a country. Even in Europe, if you go to Europe and you start working, you can tell them that I'm a Muslim and I need time for my prayer. This is how I need 5 minute, 2 minute break. So that's how they will adjust it, because that's a religious issue, that's a religious matter. They cannot tell you why you are following this, why you are praying, why you are doing this. Let's say a Sikh community, they are having a very long beard in London. So no one asked them why you have such a long beard. We cannot offer you a job. No, that's their religious matter, that's your personal matter. No one is allowed to. This is a crime. This is, you can even sue a person who disrespect a religious symbols, religious matters, anyone. So that's a religious issue which you can think about it. If you are following if you are starting a business in certain countries, you need to consider their religious issues, which are what are the things allowed in their religion or whatever is. So certain areas in India, same thing. In certain area which is our Muslim majority area, you can even sell anything, but in Hindu majority area you are not allowed to sell certain types of product. So that's a religious matter. Let's say hijab is another religious matter. If a person is if a lady is working in an organization and no one is allowed to tell her why you are wearing hijab, that's their religious matter, that's their own everything. Let's say Zionist, they are having a cup. Sikh community, they are having a turban, a big turban. No one are allowed to tell them why you are having such type of turban. So it's all culture, religious matters, religious issues. No one is allowed to tell them anything about this. Now next one, we have political philosophy. In political philosophy, which political system countries are following, which we have discussed in last slides: communism, strict democracy, and all these issues. I think we have discussed a lot the political issue in the last classes. So we'll go to another. So if you are operating in international business, in an international market, you need to be very careful regarding your regarding the political philosophy of that country, which political system they are following, what are the rules and regulation, what's their market, whatever. Next one, we have economic philosophy. So which economic system their how is their economic system, which we have discussed in the market research. I think external analysis, you are doing economic analysis, their GDP, their GNP, their currency, their money, their monetary policy, whatever fiscal policy they are following, their GDP growth, GNP, how much is their per capita, their purchasing power, how much people can buy, can they buy a certain product, do they have a purchasing power, how many people are rich and poor, and all these issues related to economics. You need to consider it in the cultural issue. Next one, education. Education is also another important aspect. How many people are educated? Do they have skilled labor? Do they have people enough labor for an organization? Yes or not? Let's say, we give you example of education. 10 years, 15 years, or 10-15 years before, when private universities started their operation in Afghanistan, most of their, almost 100% or even 95% of their lecturer were Pakistani citizen, so nationalities. So why? Because the education level of our country was not in such a standard that they had lecturers from inside Afghanistan. Now you can find Afghan lecturers with a master degree, with PhD in some country, some universities. They are returning back, masters, bachelors. So most of organization now Afghans are working. Why? Still we have some Pakistani nationalities, Indian in other countries, but that's the education level of a country, which you need to consider their education level as well. Next one, language. Language is also another important topic, which is you need to take it seriously. Why? Because language is a spoken language and non-spoken language, which is a body language. The way you behave, the way you talk with people, the way even your tone level, how much shout or shouting, this. So these are language issues, which you need to take into consideration while you are doing business globally or in another market. Social culture, that's about social norms. Different, even in Afghanistan, different cities have different social norms. In some cities, some culture, some tribes have different norms, social culture, what they are following. In some other part, they might not follow certain rules. So it depends on social issues, social culture. So that's determinants or elements of culture. Now let's see, by value we mean abstract idea about what we have. By norms, I think we have discussed this issue. It's repeated, sorry about that. Political, South Korea, which is polluting sorry, they are following communist ideology. They are still, you know, the leader of South Korea or North Korea, whatever they are having. Social culture is a caste system, which even we have discussed this, that in certain area people are following this. Let's say in India, people follow different social issues, like caste system, middle class family, top class family, lower class families. So lower class family cannot even sit with the middle class families. Middle class family cannot even sit or visit top class families. Even their place of worships are different, their mandirs are different. That's the caste system. They cannot marry each other because of tribal issue. That's in some part of Afghanistan we still have this issue as well. Oh, we are from that tribe and you are from this tribe, we cannot give you my daughter, I cannot marry a certain lady from another tribe. So these are our social caste system that people are following. But from Islamic perspective, we all know that the most beloved one to the Creator, the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the person who is most pious. So it depends, no one is better than others. So Arab is not better than non-Arabs, this is the hadith, white is not better than black is not better. So we don't think about color, country, religion. We are all one ummah. So it's a one Islamic. It doesn't matter if a person is from one country, another country. So that's a beauty of Islam, that if you are standing in a masjid in a row, you can find in other countries different Muslims from different parts of the world. You pray together as a brother. So that's the beauty of Islam you find. So we don't have this. So in culture, still in some areas that they are not aware of Islam, they are following these issues. Now languages, there is a spoken language and unspoken language, which we have discussed about the body language. Now education value norms are taught in education. From an intellectual business perspective, one important aspect of education is to role as a determinant of national competitive advantage. The availability of pool of skilled and educated workers seem to be a major determinant of likely economic success of a country. In analyzing the competitive success of Japan since 1945, for example, Michael Porter notes that after the war, Japan had almost nothing except for a pool of skilled and educated human resources. So that's very simple point. So Michael Porter said that Japan after the war, they didn't had anything, no machinery, but they had a skilled and educated manpower. So that's very important. Educated manpower have changed Japan. So our country in Japan has took their whatever freedom, independent day they are following independency. They become independent on a same year, but let's compare both countries. So why? Because they had educated human resources, they work for their country. Now Japan is a developed country and is competing in global markets. So that's about education. Language is perhaps the most important key to understanding culture in general and specific values, beliefs, attitude, and opinion of a particular individual or group. English is widely accepted as a language of business. Many global institutions and companies have adopted English as their official language. Language barriers that may hinder the communication between you and your market. However, this goes deeper than just the language that is used to communicate. It's how the message are conveyed that's important. Language barrier not only related to people speaking different languages, but also to the tone used in those languages. That's what we have discussed earlier in language, that even the tone you're using is about your English, is about your language issues. Some countries, for example, in countries like the USA or Germany, it's common for people to speak loudly and be more assertive when sharing ideas among colleagues. And however, like they like to speak loudly with their colleagues, with their staff or someone else. But however, in countries like Japan, let's see what another things to consider are. In countries like Japan, what they do, they speak very softly. Japanese, they are, even as a colleague, even when they are angry, they speak very softly. So that's their language issue, language barrier that may hinder the communication between you in your new market. However, goes this barrier, I think I have copied this. No, that's fine. Japan. Now, another thing to consider are basic customs commonly accepted in culture, gestures, some certain signs. You'll find the Christian signs. Hinduism, they have their own signs, whatever they are having. So you need to keep in mind these issues in international behavior as well. Behavior that might be commonplace in one culture could be unusual or potential offensive to a client or colleague overseas. So one behavior might be very simple in one country that might be very offensive in other country, like maybe joking. Let's say if you're operating in Afghanistan and all colleagues staff are joking with each other, they have different types of jokes, but you cannot do certain jokes in European with your colleagues. They think it's offensive, they don't like that. So it's their cultural issue, certain types of jokes or other behaviors, but certain things which they like, greetings, asking each other. So it's a different issue. Professor Jean gives the example of business handshake being the norm in European and US culture, but in some Middle Eastern culture, handshakes are seen differently. Yes, so in European US culture, that's their culture, shaking hands with each other. So it doesn't matter for them shaking hands. But in Middle East, they don't like shaking hands. یعنی فکر کنین در متحده کشورهای عرب شما میبینین وقتی یکی دیگر را میبینن دست میتن، باز یک بینی خود نمیفهمم را یک بینی دیگه جنگ مندازن چیز میکنن این کلانای عربایشون. یعنی بسیار فرهنگای هستن ولی این چیزها را یا که خارجا نمیتونن واضح بد میبرن یا خوش ندارن یا در فرهنگشون این چیزا نیست. یک وقت هندشیک بیخی در کشورهای عربی نبود، مثلا آل هندشیک میکنن، جندر میکس جندر هندشیک میکنن میشینن ولی یک وقت یارا فالو نمیکنن. But in Middle East, that's it. For example, in some culture, handshake must be involve the right hand. Yes, only as the left hand is seen to be less hygienic. So in some countries, they call it you must give your hand. وقتی دست میتین باید از دست راست دست بتین. بعضی کشورها دست چپ بسیار بد میبرن که دست میتین، ولی بعضی کشورها دست راست میتین یا چپ میتین و نیستن. خوی فرهنگایی است که چیزایی هستن که بسیار کشورها از او استفاده میکنن. فرهنگ فرق میکنه. در افغانستان هم بسیار قوم‌ها فرهنگای مختلف دارن. بازشان مثلا میشینن مثلا با فامیلای دوردست دور خود خانما میکس میشینن، روسیه میکس دارن یا هر چیزی که دارن. یعنی بعضیشان ندارن، بعضیشان ریستریکت هستن یا هر چیزی که هستن. خب بعضی چیزای فرهنگایی هستن که در یک کشور در یک قوم است و یک قوم دیگه یا در یک کشور دیگه اون نیست. Now let's see. For example, now let's see. Ford's low-cost truck was initially marketed as Fera to Spanish-speaking people when this means ugly old woman in Spanish. So you can find many examples. یعنی کمپانی فورد که وقتی یک لاری را جور کرده بود نامش فیرا مانده بودن، ولی او فیرا وقتی نام برند و ناموی بود مارکت میکردن به نام فیرا، ولی وقت فیرا به اسپانیا رفت، اسپانیایی در زبانشان فیرا یک معنای بسیار چیز داد، یک خانم بدرنگ پیر، یک معنایشان بود مثلا فیرا. ولی او موتر در اوجا نمیشد که مارکت کنن و مردم از او بد میبردن. که بعضی برند ها هستن شما ببینید نامشان در یک کشور یک چیز است، ولی وقتی به یک کشور دیگه بردن، به یک قاره دیگه رفتن، اونمو برند نام از اون برند در اوجا یک معنای بسیار چتی یا معنای بسیار بد داشتن، یا نمیتونستن که اونمو برند خود اوجا مارکت کنن، چون خلاف زبانشان، خلاف فرهنگشان است دیگه. به خاطر ازی یا مجبور شدن که نام از او برند خود چنج کنن، یا اونمو در او کشور با یک برند یک نام نو برن دیگه. این چیزای فرهنگ است که دیجا فالو میکنن. So next one, finally, culture influence the behavior and preference of a client and customers. To sell successfully in foreign market, a manager needs to adapt his/her product or service to meet the different needs of that particular group of customers. Any alteration in advertising, marketing, product or service features, after sales support, technical backup, documentation will be partly guided by cultural differences. So that's all about culture. So we have discussed what is culture issue. So that's what you need to take it very, very seriously. Nowadays in most of the companies you find different nationalities, different people working from different countries. Like if you are working in Dubai, your colleague, your friends might be from Sri Lanka, another might be from Pakistan, another might be from India, another might be from Europe, another might be from same Arab countries. So you find different nationalities, different culture, different language, different behavior, different values, different norms. So you need to adjust yourself. That's why they give them training. That's why when a manager come, let's say Etisalat manager, CEO is a British citizen, when he's coming to Afghanistan, they need to consider cultural issues of Afghanistan. If they are advertising, you see that they're most of the time they're following cultural issues in Afghanistan. They cannot use the same advertising, for example, they are using in Europe. They need to adjust their advertising issues according to the culture. Let's say if you're working in Europe, if you're wearing hijab, proper Islamic hijab, that's it, you're allowed. They are not allowed to tell you directly. If they tell you and you have proof, if they insult you and they say no, we don't give you this job because you are wearing hijab, and you are having a proof, you can sue them to the court and they can give you compensation for that. They are not allowed to reject a person if they are well qualified, and they cannot reject them because of their beard or because of their turban or because of their hijab or because of what niqab they are wearing, because of clothes, the type of clothes they are wearing. They are not allowed to reject that. So that's a cultural issue. Language, which we have spoken language and non-spoken language. بعضی چیزا هستن که مردم از او در کشورها بد میبرن. بعضی علامات هستن، ساین هستن که در اوجا یک معنای بد داره یا معنای خوب داره یا ایجا بیخی مردم در قصهش نیستن. یعنی بسیار چیزا شما هستن که ببینین که بعضی کشورها دارن، مثلا سایز، نیست، چی، صاب است. یعنی کل چیزا هست در کلچر. یعنی په کلچر کې دغه ټول مهم بخشونه دي چې تاسو باید په نظر کې ونیسئ. د هغې فرهنګ، د هغې دود او عنعنات او د هغې دین او د هغې ژبه او څونه خلک تعلیم یافته دي او دغه ټول مسایل دي چې کله تاسو بل هیواد کې تجارت کوئ، د هغې دغه قوانین او دغه مختلف فرهنګي او ټولنیزې هغه چې لري کلچر لري، کوم فرهنګ لري، هغه باید تاسو په نظر کې ونیسئ. یعنې داسې باید نه وي چې تاسو بیا ډېر کمپنیګانې ناکامیږي. So that's a very important point which you need to think about cultural issues. So we have finished some topics. Then we can talk about in next class we will talk about barriers to trade, different forms of barrier, why they're using certain barriers, what are the benefits of using these barrier. So if you're working in an organization, so you should know which barrier you can use against the other countries, why they are using it, why they put the tariffs, whatever they are putting. So that's the issue. So if you are working in an organization and they ask you to do the market analysis, for example, you are working, let's say I give you example of you are working in, you are a managing director of Bukhara, let's say restaurant, and the CEO or the owner asks you to make a report, make a research that we want to expand our business to India, different cities of India, and we want to open Bukhara restaurant in Mumbai, in Delhi, in Pune, in Goa, in Hyderabad, in all these different cities. So you need to make a plan. So once you are doing market analysis, when you are doing a market research, you need to consider it in one heading: culture issues. If you are operating in Delhi, which area? This area mostly Muslim populated or non-Muslims, Hindu. Hyderabad, Muslims or Hindu. Mumbai, Muslims. So you need to consider all these legal aspects of all. If you, let's say you started the business plan, you have written your business plan, you have done with your menu, you have done with your pricing, you have done with your food, different products, you are offering different type of services, you are offering different menu, you are offering different type of dishes you are offering. But once you went to India and you ask for license, they say no, we cannot give you license. Why? Because you are not allowed to sell beef in this country, for example. So what happened? You have wasted your time, you have wasted your money, you wasted everything. So that's why it's very, very important to consider these issues before entering into a market. So before you enter into a certain market, you need to consider their culture issues, economics. So you are following political, economical, social, all this best analysis. You are doing all over market research. You are giving them based on facts and figures and rules and regulation. So that's why it's very, very important to think about business, to think about culture. Let me review all what we have discussed in this session. We have discussed what is overview of culture, globalized society. We have discussed the definition of culture. We have discussed value in norms, what are values, what are norms. We have discussed determinants of culture, which is religion, political philosophy, political, I think we have talked a lot about this. Economic philosophy, their education level, how many people are educated, their literacy rate, whatever. Languages, spoken and non-spoken communication, written, oral language and written language, whatever. Social culture, their social norms. So these are all determinants of culture or factors which you need to consider while doing a research on cultural issues. So that's value in norms, education, language, which we have discussed this, certain barriers for different languages in Japan, handshake. Then we have discussed example. Now finally dasa, culture, barriers to trade, we will discuss in next class. So that's all about culture issues. So I want each and every one of you to please go through news on daily basis, international news. Please subscribe, or if you want to subscribe, or put the notification button from Business News, Economics Time, BBC or Guardian or Financial Times, or different business news which you need to understand in international business. Recently, like UAE have banned all visas for 10 countries. So that's a news. As an international business, you need to know that okay, certain countries have banned the visas. All these issues regarding rules and regulation. So that's why it's important for a business to be aware, for students as well. One thing which I found which really upset me in Afghanistan, or regarding my students, most of them, they are not following news, business news. When you ask them, they are just, no, I don't know what's happening. So that's your time to understand this and make habits of at least give 5 minutes or 10 minutes to business news on day-to-day basis. In 24 hours, give 10 minutes. Follow what's happening, take main points. That's what happening in 24 hours. That's what happened in last 24 hours. So it's very important for your general knowledge, for the way you talk, the way you do research. Business news helps you a lot. So that's it. See you in next class. In next class we'll talk about barriers to trade, inshallah.